Clayton Riley right back at you. It's 4:10 in the New York afternoon here at 1190 The Choice. Clayton Riley on time. Very rarely, I must say to you, in New York City certainly, do you go and hear someone you've never heard of before. You know, New York is the kind of city where you think, well, anybody's any good. I must have heard the name before. Last night I heard Angela Carole Brown, and we welcome her to our studios and our microphones today. And I must tell you something, that you are as good as anybody I've ever heard who I had not heard of before.
Thank you.
I went to the theater last night sort of thinking, well, you know, as someone sent us a nice card, we'll go and listen to her work, and but it's New York, you know, so how good can she be if we haven't heard her name before? You were fine stuff, really.
Thank you.
I mean, I think very seldom do you hear an artist who works really in two areas. You sing, but you also do impressions. You do drama, in fact, in this piece. Well, usually, Angela, you think of somebody, you say, well, I went to see this person. She sings and she does comedy. She sings pretty good, and she does comedy pretty good. Or she does great comedy and she sings a little bit. Or she sings a little bit, she does terrific comedy. You sing. And you do great comedy. I was really most impressed by the work you did last night. Now, you have another night.
I have one more night tonight.
One more night is tonight. We
Yes.
want to see if we can get some folks, and we're going to talk about it while you're here.
Okay.
See if we can get some folks down to see. I must tell you, folks, Angela Carole Brown is somebody that you need to hear on this last night that she's going to be in New York. And I must say, most particularly, they need to hear you sing. How can somebody sing as well as you do not be known in New York City?
Oh, goodness. Who knows? I'm not from New York.
I know.
So on the West Coast, you know, just pounding that pavement, trying to get people to hear me and singing in clubs. And
Now, you are currently singing somewhere on the West Coast, I think.
yeah,
you know?
I have. I sing at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills, and just club dates here and there, and singing as much as I possibly can. Done some recordings.
Angela, let me ask you this. Are you finding that people have an appreciation for performance based on the fact that people hear all sorts of things? You see stuff on television. You can go to theaters. People go to concerts. People listen to music on the radio. They have home entertainment systems. Do you have any sense that because of this explosion of equipment and hard and software, that people are better able to appreciate what you do as a singer? Let's start there first.
I think that the potential is definitely there with, you know, with newer technology and even, you know, getting into CD-ROMs and so forth. It gets to more people, I think. I think there's definitely the potential for opening up the market of art in every field to the average person who ordinarily probably wouldn't have found an interest in it anywhere.
All right. Now, the piece you're doing is called The Purple Sleep Cafe,
Yes.
and just let me set it for our family listening. This is about someone who is about to sing in a nightclub who also decides, well, look, before I sing, let me tell you a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
And we get to hear, I think, some extraordinary things about growing up as an artist.
Yes.
I think people who maybe grow up to be certified public accountants, which is terrific, or grow up to be generals in the Army, grow up in a particular way. But if you grow up as a person who must rely upon, perhaps live within the confines of the imagination,
Yes.
you grow up in a very particular kind of way, scary some of the time,
Absolutely.
I would say. Is there anything to be passed along to people about that? Do you say to folks, look, don't do this?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Hopefully not. No, the whole thrust of the play is to hopefully inspire and encourage artists who are feeling frustrated and lost and all of those things we feel because our industry makes us feel that way, to not give up, because we do have an important duty out there as artists to contribute to our culture.
There's a moment in your evening where you address the muse. You come and say, is Mr. Muse still here?
Right.
And gorgeous, gorgeous moment of theater, because I think, again, many people out there saying, is there any point in doing this?
Right.
And I was reminded, and forgive me if this is a bit of a stretch here, but the law scholar Derek Bell has written a book called Faces at the Bottom of the Well, in which he says essentially, look, you don't do this, you don't participate in struggle because you're going to win a pennant at the end of the year, or because somebody's going to pin a medal on your chest, or because there's going to be a trophy on the wall. You do it because it's right.
Absolutely.
You, I think, say in this piece, you commit to the art that is you because you have to do that.
Right.
It's not a matter you're going to become a great star. I mean, you really, I guess, have to have that sort of perched on your shoulder a lot of the time. But in order to get through to what it is you want to do in terms of, creating a form of expression, you have to believe in that so strongly that nothing shakes your faith. Still, you got to think that, hey, I'm not that 7-year-old youngster anymore doing plays in the basement. And am I going to stick with this forever and ever, no matter what happens?
Absolutely, and it's a question posed all the time by artists. All the time. Friends of mine who are all out there struggling with, their painting and their singing and their acting and whatnot. I hear it so much. It really propelled me to write something, hopefully to keep artists from giving up, because I just think that's the worst thing that can happen. Our culture dies if we don't have the artists in the world.
Yeah. When you mentioned that, I had a conversation, I think it was about a year ago. I was doing another show here, the morning show, and I got into this question with a person who wanted to know what she should give her youngster to read that would help him be a warrior.
Yeah.
And I said, look, you've got to see that your kid knows how to read first. Let him read anything. Just let him read. Let him fall in love with the word.
Yeah.
And eventually, if he's going to be a warrior or a political visionary, that's going to happen. But first, you have to, I think, trust the self that is attracted in this way. The problem I have with so many audiences is that they are looking to be out of instead of in love with the form, with the expression.
Yes.
They go there and say, well, show me, prove it to me, What about the audiences there and here? By there and here, I mean the left coast and the right. Any real difference? I hear people say, nah, look, Los Angeles, New York, people are people. You performing there, you performed here. Any measurable difference?
It's hard to tell because I'm in and out here like lightning. I haven't had a chance to be here, for a while to sort of soak it in. But what I have generally found about LA audiences is that they, I think, have a hesitance to go and see theater simply because we are so spread out as a culture. So it doesn't appear to people to be as accessible as it really feels like it is here. And I know the theater community is growing rapidly in LA, and I hope it continues to, and therefore becomes more important to the public.
Are you going to have to make a choice, do you believe, between a career as, I think, a very richly endowed singer and a career in theater or film, I mean, perhaps as a dramatic actress? Are you going to have to choose between those two things, or you think you can continue this route? I mean, you displayed last night a number of abilities. I'm sure everybody's telling you this anyhow.
Okay.
But I mean, you reveal to a New York audience, as you know, people can be pretty picky here, that, hey, Angie can sing, Angie can act, Angie can do impressions. What do you want? What do you need here?
I think I'm trying to merge the two right now. I've been singing almost exclusively for the past 7 or 8 years. And I actually got my degree in theater, but put it on the back burner for the longest time because I could get jobs singing. And I got to a point where I really missed it, and I thought, I need to get back into it, but I think I'd like to create my own work to do that with, instead of go that really traditional route of go out, try to get an agent, pound on the pavement, knock on the doors. I thought, I'm also a writer. I'd like to merge all of these if I can, and that's why I wrote, or that's, the Purple Sleep Cafe is the first vehicle towards trying to merge all those.
How'd you get hooked up with the primary stages?
I submitted my script to 1 million people, and they were the only ones to say, we like it, we would like to do it. So, but I persevere almost to a fault, I think. I didn't give up, and I'm thankful that I didn't, because it's been great being here to do this.
Now, one thing I didn't mention, this is all your own material. I mean, you put all this together.
I wrote the play. I actually wrote the play 3 years ago. It took me about a week to write the first draft, but in this 3 years, and even continuing now, the ever-evolving process, it has changed shape quite a bit, and very instrumental in that, almost in the role of editor, is my director, Marco Hernandez, who would constantly tell me, yes, this works, no, this doesn't, why don't you go back to the drawing board? And he was very instrumental in the ever-evolving state of the script.
We had Guy Davis here a few weeks ago. Guy is doing a one-person show down at Henry Street, directed by Chanel Perry, who was a theater person of many, many years, and someone I've worked with on a couple of occasions. He said their relationship was pure hell.
Oh,
said, you know,
really?
Well, you can understand this, because if you have a cast, let's say you got a cast of 7 people. In fact, I directed Chanel in a play, in which he was one of a cast of 8 people. My play, and I directed. When you have 8 people, of course, there's all sort of alliances being built, and, you know, warfare going on with them. You have one person, just you and the director, you can see World War III developing every day. You know, because you tend to think, look, I'm here by myself, and what are you giving me? Tell me something about this relationship with you and Marco Hernandez. You don't have to let all of it out, Angie, but
we fought like cats and dogs through this whole process, but in the most healthy way.
All right.
Really, in the because we trust each other's instincts, I think, is the reason why we never gave up, even when we'd argue about it. But he's been incredible. I did the show 2 years ago and had a different director, and she was wonderful, but Marco is a whole different level of wonderful as a director. He simply has a vision, and fortunately it merged with mine, and we trudged along and really made this thing happen, and we fought all the time, but only for serving the purpose of the script and the show.
Let's move back just a moment to your singing. I'm intrigued to know what the background of that is. Are we avoiding the cliche of the church-based singer who stands out in the choir?
I sang in the church choir. I fall right in that cliche, sure.
We got to take a brief break here for our traffic report. Caroline Cadillo is standing by to let you know what's happening on the roads and rails around New York City. We'll be with you again in just a moment. Angela Carole Brown in studio with us. You stay with us here. We'll be back. Clayton Riley right back at you. 4:26. You know, at 4:30 we've got another newscast with Derek Davis, but we want to get in a couple of words before then, and then we continue our conversation. Angie, you don't have to go anywhere, do you? I mean, I know you have a show to do. What time are you on tonight?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. We want to tell people that primary stages, and I think it's, if I memory serves, 354
West
45th Street.
Absolutely.
And we should see if here's a phone number. Let me go. Area code 212-333-7471. Let me give you that again. 212-333-7471. Family, let me tell you, if you have an evening tonight to go out, this is where you want to go, right? Go and hear this woman perform, Angela Carole Brown. The piece is called The Purple Sleep Cafe. I want to get back and talk about your singing again. We were kind of jabbing and joking about people coming out of church. I guess the modern cliche for the black singer is, well, she was in that choir and one day she stepped out for some. Is that really, is this
I sang
true?
in the choir, I sang, but as a child, really more than even as a young adult. And for the strangest reason, I really avoided, once I got into my early adulthood, singing. I didn't want the business. I didn't want the cliches of the business. I really wanted to focus on acting, and I went and studied acting in school, got my degree, pushed the pavement doing theater for the longest time, and eventually singing came back around, and I couldn't sort of deny it or avoid it anymore, and I started singing. Almost to the exclusion then of acting. It was sort of hard to find my way to doing both.
I have to tell you again, the thing that most impressed me about your singing last night, a lot of people got voices, but I was particularly impressed you handling this time. I mean,
Oh.
the piece that you sing is at a blazing tempo, and I think
Yeah.
this is where you begin distinguishing between those who can and those who can't, because a lot of folks, sing ballads and do very well, and we also know that there are singers who only sing ballads for just that reason.
Right.
Singing to time is tough.
Yeah.
Does that come? I mean, where does that come from? If I tried to sing at a tempo like that, I couldn't keep. I literally couldn't keep the time. My
Yeah.
brother, who's a percussionist, can deal with that. But
Mhm.
in your experience, what does that come out of?
I can only attribute it to being around
Mhm.
musicians, being in their company and in their stead, doing gigs with really excellent musicians. And when I started out singing professionally, I was probably as green as anybody else, just in terms of the actual musicality of the thing. But just over time, I don't think you can help but be able to to get it infiltrated into you, especially if you are surrounded by and working with excellent musicians, you can't help but be elevated up to where they are. I just don't think. I don't know what else I could attribute it to.
Angela Carole Brown. We're going to take a break here. 4:30 News. Derek Davis, #1 news guy, waiting in the newsroom to let you know all the things you need to know about what's happening in our city and around the world. Clayton Riley on time, 11:90. Clayton Riley back at you at 4:33. We're moving toward 5 o'clock. Larry Hardesty will be here with the full Sports Box report at 5 o'clock, from 5 to 6:15 these days. But we're pleased to have with us in studio and at our microphones Angela Carole Brown. I want to say to you once more, family, if you do have an evening or open tonight at 8 o'clock,
Yes.
8 o'clock tonight, and the address 354 West 45th Street. I'm going to give you a number. And your reservations 333-7471. Angela Carole Brown will be performing there tonight, and I think if you can get there, you're going to see something rather special. That's provided that you're as good tonight as you were last
I
night.
hope so.
We can't be sure, especially in New York. Now, I should tell people that what I found really extraordinary about what you did yesterday, you got a little squeezed because there's another show
Right.
earlier on
Right.
in the afternoon
Yeah.
before you. And I have to say, coming on and those people coming out, and when we got there, people moving in
Right.
and out of the lobby and a whole number. But you got up there and said, hey, I'm here and I'm ready.
Oh, thanks.
Now listen, where do you go from here beyond? I mean, I know you're going to do the show again in L.A.,
Yes.
but what are you looking at down the road right now?
Whatever I can do with this show, and I'm trying to record material right now for an album,
Yeah.
and I'm just independently doing that. Actually, with the man that produced the music for this show, Phil Settle, is also helping me produce an album project that I'm hoping to independently do shortly, and just continue to try and act and write and sing wherever they'll let me.
I'm always intrigued to know who people who sing listen to sing. Anybody you say, hey, I'm home, it's the middle of the afternoon, and I need to hear some music. Obviously, you can listen to your own tapes, but I mean, past that.
I love Betty Carter
Mm-hmm.
and Tom Waits are two people that I think have probably influenced me. It's hard to say more than anybody else because I listen to a lot of folk, instrumentalists as well as vocalists. But those two, I think, are my two favorites. For Betty, just her sense of time, her sense of musicality. She really is a true musician. I've had the pleasure of seeing her live, and she's electrifying. And Tom Waits has influenced me because of his originality and his sense of daring. And
If you were going to go see somebody perform in the theater tonight, or if somebody said, hey, I got an open film date, you can see whatever you like, tell me about those folks.
here in the city,
Anywhere.
I would love to see Eric Bogosian. I've actually seen many of his one-man shows, and he was one of the people actually that inspired me to try and write a one-person show.
Right.
I think he's incredible.
He's a very talented guy. He's appearing in
Yes,
the Village.
I know.
Will you have a? You think you get an
I
opportunity? to
won't
see?
have the opportunity. And actually, I made the attempt to try and have that opportunity, but
Right.
it just didn't work out scheduling-wise.
I would say also for those who may be still trying to figure out what are they talking about. This is a form that in my judgment at least, made Lily Tomlin in a way
Yeah.
familiar to people who really had not seen that much of her in
Right.
other venues. That her effort to put into a concrete form, this sort of stream of consciousness that you're all over the place in this piece. I mean, you talk about rushing from folk to folk, and I should say for those of you who hopefully get down there tonight, if you want to see a nightclub MC, if you want to see a nightclub patron, if you want to see some little kids who are growing up and trying to find their way through that passage. All those people present on the stage. The reason I asked you about people to see is that I think we're not always so influenced by the individuals and their performance. The thing that influences most is that they stay the course.
Right.
You know, you look at people and you say, well, hey, it's not that I'm going to do what they do, but I'm certainly going to be aware of the fact that they stick in. I saw Robert De Niro the other night in the film. It's not one of his better films, I don't think. But this guy is just incredible as a
Absolutely.
performing artist.
Absolutely.
And so you say, if there's a film on within a minute, I'm going to sit and look
Absolutely.
at it.
Yeah.
And I think we begin then to sort of build our own little pantheon. I told a story earlier today. I did a film at public television. This was '86. We did a film, history of the life of Miles Davis. And of course, everybody's terrified to go to Miles' house. Oh man! So, as it worked out, he's a very affable guy. There's a lot of foolishness that he didn't like to put up with, and I'm
Right.
sure you're familiar with exactly what I'm talking about. But we were talking at a point, and I told him a story about Buddy Rich, the drummer. Before he died, he went into the hospital, and the nurse said to him, "Are you allergic to anything?" He said, "Yeah, country western." So I told Miles a story. He laughed. He said, "Well, wait." He said, "There's one guy in country western you should listen to." And I said, "Look, I'm sorry, man. I just don't have the stomach for it." He said, No. He said, listen to Willie Nelson. Well, when you listen to Willie Nelson, you are listening to one of the most glorious
Yeah.
instruments. I mean, this guy's got pipes
Yeah,
for
I think
days.
so. Absolutely.
So you find, I think, over the long course that you put together your own little, again, as I said, pantheon of folks that you listen to, not because they're going to influence you, but because they remind you that if you decide to do this, you got to have will, you got to have
Absolutely.
concentration, all these kind of things. Anybody else in your family do this? Are you alone among the Browns who get out there on the stage?
Oh, performing-wise, yeah. My father is a painter.
Okay.
But everybody else in my family they're business folk. You know? They're
Pam,
they're
of course,
corporate
I know.
folk, you
From
know.
school. Your sister, you have a sister
Yes,
who's
yes.
in
She
is
works for IBM. and
Yeah.
My mother is a CEO.
We had an opportunity to meet her yesterday.
Absolutely.
Lovely person.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm the only performer. Yeah.
Does that make you feel a little bit outside at times? You say, gee.
It might have had I not had incredible support from my family. And I think, at least among my friends, I think I'm a rare one there. Most people I know have a hard time getting the support and encouragement from their family because it is a hard business. And everybody's saying, don't do it, go get a regular job. But my family has always encouraged and supported my performing. And considering that they're not performers, that's a great tribute to their belief and trust in me and in the importance of art.
I saw you do some things yesterday that made me imagine, let me put it that way, that there are some dramatic roles you've thought about playing. So
Yeah.
maybe said, gee, if the chance ever came along to perform. Tell me about those.
Oh, my goodness.
We got to take a break, so
Okay.
you think about
Okay.
it. See how didn't that work out? This is kind of cosmic, isn't it? Jim Weiner on keeping us on the path here from the engineer's booth, as always. We're going to bust it up for a few moments here, come back and finish talking with Angela Carole Brown, and remind you once again, this is 1190 The Choice. Clayton Riley on time. Stay with us. Clayton Riley right back at you as we move toward 5 o'clock. Larry Hardesty, you know, here with the expanded sports box. At that time, once again, pleased to welcome back for our summary here, I guess. We close this up in a few minutes with Angela Carole Brown, because you got to go and perform tonight.
Yeah.
Now, this, we should note for folks, is a small theater. You know, we're not looking at the Barton Beck or someplace. But you call 212-333-7471. The piece is called The Purple Sleep Cafe. Tell me about that. Where'd that... Is that just a figment of your imagination?
It's a figment of my imagination. The purple sleep is, in my mind, a state of being where the indomitable spirit reigns and where intolerance is not allowed. And that's what we try to really support with this piece.
You know, as you progressed last night in your performance, I said purple sleep. I said somewhere along the line, I'm going to hear a relationship between this and Jimi Hendrix. It's going to be like purple haze, purple sleep. It's gonna work out that way. Didn't quite get to that, but. Listen, I want to thank you an awful lot for coming in. I especially want to thank you for yesterday. I mean, very seriously, I think folks who can have an opportunity to hear you work tonight. Best of success back on the coast where you're going to take this show. Now, is it fixed? I mean, if folks are out there, can they know now what's...
No, nothing's fixed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you will, keep in touch. Let us know what's happening out there, and
Absolutely.
we will certainly pass along to people from this side the dates and times and places so they can get out and see you.
Great.
Is nobody you're going to say hello to? You're not going to be one of those people say hi,
I'll say hello
Mom,
to my mom and my dad. And
Now, your mom's
all
here,
the
I know.
She came to New York to see it.
Incidentally, I meant to... Was this the first time she's seen you do this?
Yes.
My goodness.
She was always out of town when we did it before,
Yeah?
so this is the
Oh,
first.
my God. That really must have been through. No, ma'am, you don't have to get the belt. It really must have been very, very exciting for her. Can you tell me anything about her reaction?
She loved it. She got a particular kick out of the fact that she was actually in the play. You know, that I referred to her quite a bit.
Yeah, when you're a youngster directing those plays I got a particularly big kick out of that. I think anybody who has ever tried to organize some kind of little dramatical exercise or put on a play in the backyard or anything would appreciate that particular moment. But family, I want to tell you the whole bunch of moments that you will appreciate in here, a lot of them funny, a lot of them bittersweet, and a lot of them very exciting, and I mean particularly the singing. If you are a person who appreciates singing, and particularly jazz-focused singing, this is the place for you to be tonight. Angela Brown, thank you.
Thank you.
Once again for coming in and saying hello to us. All right.